Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative, global cruise personalities. It is the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofcruising.net. It helps support the channel through our partnership with Where's Walters Travel. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul, and this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Tristan Roebuck-Troll, Justin Roebuck-Troll, and young Josh, their son. They are a couple from UK and the creators of Buoys, rapidly growing YouTube channel, Instagram platform, blog, and Facebook group. At cruiseboys.com, we're Justin, Tristan, and Josh, the faces behind Buoys, your new best friends in the vast ocean of cruise travel. Our love story with cruising kicked off in 2019 aboard the majestic P&O Britannia, cruising through the breathtaking Norwegian fjords. That was it. We were hooked. Fast forward to now, we've danced on the decks of MSC Bellissima during a summer dream and have collected memories from P&O, MSC, Costa, Marella, Celebrity Cruises, Virgin Voyages, Cunard, and Princess Cruise. And guess what? Our adventure radar is beeping with excitement for our upcoming sails with Royal Caribbean, NCL, and Viking. Oh, and did we mention our mini adventure on Ambassador? 8 hours on board. What a story for the ages. Why we're obsessed with cruising? It's simple. Cruising gives us that delicious taste of freedom and exploration we all crave, mixed with a sprinkle of luxury and a whole lot of fun. It's about waking up to a new horizon every day, indulging in endless culinary delights, and making every moment count. Through our YouTube and Instagram channels, we're not just sharing our journeys, we're bringing you into our circle, our family. We're here to spill the beans on how to make the most of your cruise, all while keeping it real and fun. I have a special affinity with UK content creators. It's such a passionate cruise community, and the first person to agree to be featured in my first book, The Joy of Cruising, was a UK cruise personality. I have not previously interacted with Buoys other than as friends and followers on social media. They are fun videos and have sailed a large diversity of cruise lines in their short time as cruise content creators. So I'm looking forward to getting to know someone who clearly embodies the joy of cruising and enlarging my circle of cruising community friends. Welcome, Tristan and Justin, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Hello. Yeah, hello. Thank you.
So how are you both doing?
Yeah, been
really good. It's been a busy day today, but it's been really fun actually. Yeah, just having a nice family day. So yeah,
it's good. But it's been just a busy time of year, hasn't it? It's coming into the summer, so yeah, it's very, very busy.
It's finally getting warm.
Yes, well, that's a good thing.
Before we talk about Buoys, tell our listeners about yourselves, where you're from, how'd you meet, your professional background, anything you're willing to share.
So I'm Tristan, and I come from South London, effectively.
Yeah.
And I am nearing 40.
Yeah.
I'm still on the young age of 40, so it's fine. I work in IT. Is my day job, so I'm not lucky enough to be one of the vloggers that can do this full time. We definitely still have day jobs, but yeah, so that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You're far more exciting.
I don't think I'm that exciting, am I? So I'm Justin. I originate from Australia. I have actually lived in Europe on and off for most of my adult life. I used to live in Germany and go to school in Germany in my teens, and then finally made the plunge to come over here in 2009. So I've been here for quite a while, and I wasn't supposed to stay here. very long. I was supposed to go over to Canada, but before I get into that story, I work in insurance. That's my main background. I reports manager, global reports manager. And yeah, but how do we meet each other?
A long time ago,
Yeah.
galaxy far, far away. I think it feels like. No,
Yeah.
but we obviously have other part of or the most important bit, I think, that because no one's interested really in us, I think, is Josh. And
Yeah.
Josh, we adopted Josh about 9 years ago now.
9 years ago,
just over 9 years ago. We adopted our son Josh and things. So that was kind of how we got into cruising.
A little
not
bit,
fully,
not fully, but
we'll also come on to that a bit later. But yeah, we did. Josh, our son, is around somewhere, but he's of that age where,
he
just does his own thing.
Yeah, he might pop in.
There's no telling where he is.
Exactly.
So when and what motivated you to create the Cruise Buoys?
So I think the actual Cruise Buoys channel itself is a little bit different to where we came from, the cruising perspective. So we like to share our holidays with families and friends. We were doing it in on Facebook and on Instagram, and because we had already known some of the vloggers and we'd been following them, we decided that when we were looking, we couldn't find a lot of family orientated vlogs around cruising.
Yeah,
And
when we started cruising a lot, there was a lot of questions that we had as a family, and Josh has a lot of additional needs, and we were kind of quite nervous around that. And we thought actually cruising was such a great environment for him with the additional needs, and they're so supportive of that we were like, we wanted to kind of share that with other people and actually go, hey, look, this isn't some scary place and things. This is actually something that can be a really great way to have a nice holiday. We tried on land holidays with Josh, and it had been a bit of a nightmare. And we actually cruising with him, it just gives him a comfort factor that you don't necessarily have, but yet we get to still explore.
Yeah. And then with Cruise Buoys, I suppose we just sort of took it as it came, wasn't it? So we did our first video. When you look back, you're like, oh my gosh. But coming up with the name was a bit difficult. It was actually Josh that came up with the name, wasn't it?
It was. Originally we were going to be called JJ Cruise because Joshua's name is JJ. Is his name, and then we were like, no, that's taken, so we're not going to be doing that. And Josh was like, well, we're boys that cruise, so we should be Cruise Buoys.
And we went, okay. And then we decided to put the pun on it, which was boys, like to tie it in with cruising.
Sure.
And we know in the States, we know it's pronounced buoys, so we sometimes get, it's the Cruise Buoys, and we're like, yeah, okay.
Doesn't quite have the same ring.
No, all the same meaning.
Not doesn't quite have the same ring. Cruise Buoys. So how's it going? How's Cruise Buoys going?
Pretty well, I think.
It's phenomenal, really. Especially this year, it's really picked up this year. I mean, cruising. A lot of people are moving from land-based to cruising. We're finding a very, very bigger audience wanting to cruise these days, and so with that we have had a lot of growth within the channel, which we hadn't really expected, have we? So it's gone from something which is a bit of a hobby to now that we have to sort of kind of sit down and do a lot more planning. So it's
that's the thing. It's getting more complicated because we're both kind of perfectionists.
Yes.
So when it comes to like editing, because I'm a sound engineer originally by trade, although now I work in IT, it is very kind of like, I want to set everything to music. I want to make sure the music works right, and it kind of helps with the mood and things. And it's very like I sit there for hours, and he gets so wound up with me going like over the same clip time and time again to get the exactly right. And you're like, can we move on to another clip yet?
No, because I mean we're telling a story, so that's fine. But I mean,
it's good though, and it's always important that we always do videos that we would want to watch. If that makes sense. So we do content or videos just for the sake of content or video. We're like, if we would want to watch that back and watch it time and time again, we'll do it. If not, then we're not going to do them.
Yeah, but the channel's just it's probably far exceeded where we thought we'd ever be. And to have sort of a bit of a following now, and to even getting everything dressed up in here, and it was never our intention. So it just grew legs and just kept going, didn't it? Really.
So tell us about your various platforms. Obviously, YouTube is
Yeah.
your main outlet. You have a blog. You have a Facebook group. What else? Where else are you present on the net?
Yeah, so we started very much with the YouTube and Instagram, and what we tend to do is YouTube tends to be busier when we're not away and cruising. Instagram tends to be the place to go whilst we're actually on the ships or shortly after, so we post a lot on there whilst we're away.
Yeah.
And then we spread that out more to have more connection with people through Facebook, and now also our website we're doing, and we have Patreon as well. So some of our core fans have said they wanted to,
Help
support us a bit more. So we opened up Patreon about a year ago now.
Yeah.
Which is going quite well. We've got 11 Patreons now. So still surprises me all the time. I'm like, really? Okay. And then we're also now starting to do some other things like we're looking at launching a kind of cruise related store and things online. So it's kind of growing.
It just keeps growing. But with the web pages take a while to build out, so it's still continuing, but there's a lot coming on board, like with different affiliates and shops, and as you said. So I
think we have a lot of ideas sometimes, but not always the time to do it, because we have to kind of remind ourselves that we do have day jobs. We have to do the day job.
Well, but besides the day jobs, what do you guys do when not cruising or working on Cruise Buoys?
We do some like land-based holidays. We do some weekends away. You like to explore, especially the countryside. We're lucky enough in England. There's some amazing places to go and see just on our doorstep. So we do a lot of that. We spend a lot of time with friends. We do like the finer things, the food and the wine. So we like to. I wouldn't ever say that I'm a connoisseur of wine, but I like certain wines and enjoy things. So we'll do we like to cook and entertain for people, don't we? So we do a lot of home cooking and entertaining for people and friends. So
I should say to the listeners, when I just laughed, it was because Tristan was mentioning food, and he was rubbing his tummy. So and of course this is an audio podcast, and the listeners can't tell. Well, what's he laughing at?
I was doing a Winnie the Pooh moment.
Yep. So let's dig deeper into cruising. Let's go back to the beginning. Talk about that first cruise. I believe it was on P&O.
It was. Our first cruise was a bit crazy because it was quite last minute planned. We'd not planned to do a cruise. No. I had planned to do a trip on the Orient Express, actually. And I always say, we could have been train people.
Yeah, that's
We could have ended up doing a vlog about trains. That'd be really weird. But there was an issue with the Orient Express, so we ended up booking very last minute a cruise on P&O, and we spoke to our good friend Emma from Emma Cruises, and at the time, and she sort of said, "Had you thought about doing a cruise?" And I was like, "That's for old people, like boring." And she kind of just looked at me and was like, "Funny you say that. Why don't you give it a try?" So we did, and I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah,
and we've never really looked back since, but it was also one of those crazy moments where we did everything that now we tell people not to do. We did it.
Yeah.
Reflecting back to your conversation with Emma when you said that's for old people, Emma's first iteration on in the cruise community, she was cruising isn't just for old people.
Yeah, and it's true. It really isn't just for old people.
No. It really isn't. In fact, that I featured her in my very first book, and that was the name of her feature. Cruising isn't just for old people. So that's funny that you responded that way when she brought it up.
So we had no idea that was her channel name at the time either, which is the funny thing. But
I mean,
you did the classic on the balcony as well.
Well, we might get to that in a little bit later, but with that trip as well, it was because it was for a particular birthday when I turned 20. What? No, I didn't. I turned 40. But when I turned 40, I tell everyone I'm 21 in a lot of months, and I'm not lying, but So, and I always wanted to go to the fjords, and so I said, let's go to the fjords. So not only was it a spectacular cruise on the fjords, we had a really nice room. So we had we're in a cabin that was above the bridge, and it had this big metal. It was still a deluxe balcony.
Yeah, essentially the balcony goes out across the bridge wing. So you have this huge view from the front, the side, towards the back of the ship.
Yeah.
It's enormous. We were very spoiled on our first cruise to get a cabin like that. It was kind of crazy. On it.
So you said that went to the fjords. Was that from Southampton?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting because I have a cruise. It's not for a while. It's late 25, and it's to the fjords from Southampton. But I tell you, I'm a little nervous because I also had a cruise earlier in the in 25 that was going from where was it? It was going from Rome to Barcelona, and so I went earlier this week. I went to start looking at air. And man, the air for my wife and me was like $6,000. Yeah, I mean, right, because we had to do round trip because we had to fly to Rome, and then we had to fly back from Boston. I mean, we went to Rome a couple of years ago, and we paid for two. We paid $1,800, and so I ended up. I didn't cancel. Well, I canceled that particular cruise. I kept the same ship because I really want to get on the ship, but I changed the date to when the ship leaves from the U.S. and it comes back to the U.S. So because I really wanted to go on that ship, but I wasn't paying. Now I'm sure that had I looked, a little more, I could have gotten it down, but just doing it on my own without the help of an agent, just casually looking. Yeah, it was crazy, It was like $1,400 a piece each way. And so now I'm worried about my trip to the fjords because I still have to fly round trip to Southampton. No, not round trip. The fjords is round trip to Southampton. So I'm a little worried. I'm not going to give that one up. I'm gonna wait a little while and hope that things get better airwise. But we're definitely going to do that one. That's a bucket list trip. Well, the other was a bucket list trip too, but at least we get to keep the ship. If not that particular itinerary. Anyway,
there are some good new routes. So the bonus with flying, I mean, it's difficult to actually fly into Southampton, obviously, but into like London Heathrow or Gatwick. There's so many like cheaper flights now from the US that we're finding, certainly from the East Coast. It's still quite expensive because we really want to go to Alaska. I think everyone wants to go to Alaska, but the thing that's kind of holding us back from there is
the flights as well.
So expensive.
Yeah,
to get over to sort of like Seattle or Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver's even more expensive, but Seattle is so expensive.
Exactly.
Try to get there. I went last. I went last year, and oh my goodness, can't wait to get back. So did you? What was your impressions of that first cruise on P&O?
It was kind of like, obviously from cruising, we've done some overnight sort of ferry trips, which I call they call mini cruises, but it's kind of a bit of a taste of what kind of cruising's like. But apart from that, the only thing that you would imagine would be something like after you watch Titanic or something. So that was kind of this image, not so much, the ship sinking or anything, but the sort of the grandeur of it. And with P&O, it's a little bit more formal than some of the other ships, but it really surprised me, actually.
It surprised me, but I would say I loved the route that we did in the fields. Stuff was so amazing, and we loved that. I don't know whether I was hooked on cruising straight away. I think I definitely got hooked after our second cruise.
Yeah, Josh. I agree. Yeah.
But I think the first cruise, it did change my perspective, but it was still like those were the days when still, you know, it was still a little bit formal.
Yeah.
It was still quite big, and I was like, oh, and I know we had like 2 formal nights. And
Yeah.
by the second formal night, I was like, I really can't be bothered. And then I felt like because we were quite inexperienced, I felt like, oh, we had to do it. Whereas now I'm like, do you know what? I don't want to do the second formal night. I'll just go to the buffet. We didn't realize you could do that.
The other thing was, I mean, it was one of the other impressions was that people talked to each other. There was a lot of communication and people talking. And I'd never been in a situation where I've been on, you know, a land-based holiday and people were just like talking to each other like they do on a cruise ship. So that was really, really pleasant. And then the food, you could just keep eating, and I didn't even realize that you could just keep eating, and so we did. This is why on the second formal night I was like, oh, I don't even know if I'm going to get into my tux. I think I put too much weight on. So yeah, but no, impression of cruising was like, this isn't actually what I imagined it to be. So yeah, in a positive way.
So how soon did you cruise again, and what was that ship?
It was pretty quick.
3 months, I think.
Yeah, within 3 months. So we came back, and our son was like kind of upset that he couldn't go on the other one with us, and we kind of were like, okay, well we'll just find a cheap cruise for him. So we did an MSC cruise in the Med on Bellissima, and it was really soon after, but that was definitely the one that kind of sealed it for me. Was like we had great weather. Actually, the MSC customer service is really good. We didn't have any issue at that point. We had no issue with the food and stuff. We love like Mediterranean food, so that kind of set us down to the ground. The less formality was really good as well. We just loved it.
The people, I like we're very multicultural. We've got a very multicultural family and we love culture. So being not only just in the Mediterranean, but being with people from different languages and from all over Europe, it was just amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Loved it.
So that second MSC ship, that sealed it, huh?
Yeah, and I think it's always got a place in our hearts. We haven't been back on MSC Bellissima, and we know that the class of ship is replicated across the fleet.
We've done most of them.
We've done most of them, but the thing is that ship actually still holds a special place.
Mm-hmm. So now Josh went on that second cruise with you. Does he now go on most cruises or not necessarily?
He does. We try and do. We've always done at least 1 or 2 trips a year without him, just kind of like us two, because I think that's an important thing sometimes, just to have that some adult time. And also he gets time away from us to spend with his grandparents or his aunties and cousins and stuff. So he likes to do that. So we try and have that time apart a little bit. So but most of them he does, and he's now, how many cruises it's been on?
We tried to count the other day, and
I think he's about 15 cruises now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I suspect, like you guys, he got hooked.
Oh yeah, no, everything was about cruising. He's got inflatable cruise ship. His whole life's around cruising. Everything is to do with cruising. So for him, especially in the cruise community, I mean, we know a lot of content creators, and you know, we're very blessed that we do have a lot of social time with them. And it was so strange because he used to watch them on TV, and these days it's like they're his stars, like what we used to watch on TV. So he gets a bit awe-inspired a lot of the time when he sees them, and we're like, "But Josh, you see them all the time," and it's really funny. But even Emma does, you know, she's quite often a visitor of ours, and he's still like sometimes isn't he a bit sort of starstruck.
Yeah, it's a bit starstruck. I think then for him as well, he likes the finer things. So the fact that. And we like this as well, that when we get on a cruise ship, often we pay for a lot of the packages and things like that. So there's nothing really off limits for him. So if he wants like ice cream or something,
it's there.
We're just like, sometimes, yes, we do say no because we're about to do that. But like, if he wants ice cream mid-afternoon, we can go, go get a self-serve from the pool, you know, the pool bar one or whatever it is. Yeah. So and for him, it's like, oh, can I try this like mocktail, or can I try this soft drink thing? And yeah, of course you can. So for him, it's great. It's like, literally kid in a candy shop, isn't it?
And
he
he
can
loves
have what he wants. So
he
he's
loves his
happy.
food as well. Like he will, like at a very early age, he was used to eat anything. So these days they get a bit shocked when he's sitting there and they give him the kids menu, and he's like, "No, I'm not eating that. Give me my lobster."
Yeah, no chicken nuggets for me.
No. So he has earned the name 5-star Josh in the in the content community. So
Oh, there you go. 5-star Josh. You seem to have traveled a large diversity of cruise lines for someone who just started cruising not that long ago. So how many lines have you been on?
We had to count this up, and it took us a little while to work out. I think we're up to about 14 or 15
I
cruise lines.
think so, yeah. And
Wow.
that includes some that we have been on, which like we've done day trips, or we've been invited on for the day. So, but we haven't done too many of those. The majority we've sort of paid
There've
for
been at
and
least
done ourselves.
four-night cruise.
Yeah.
Give us some highlights of the cruise lines you've sailed lately. Why don't you go backwards? Start with what have you cruised lately,
So
and then give us some highlights of some other cruises before that.
the most recent ones we've done really have been, we did Aurora, P&O's Aurora.
Yeah.
We did Queen Anne, Cunard Queen Anne.
So the maiden voyage. Yeah.
So
Yes.
let me stop you there.
Certainly.
I've got a couple coming on the show to give us, a trip report, and plus to get to know them like I'm getting to know you, in a couple of weeks. But I didn't realize you had been on Queen Anne, so give us a preview of what we might hear in a couple of weeks. How was it?
So we did a review. So we'd been on Cunard before, so we went on Queen Mary 2. Queen Mary 2, I mean, Cunard, when you think about it, is kind of where like the pinnacle of old world cruising is. That's how I kind of see it. Queen Mary 2 was good, but there was a little bit dated and it just needed a little bit of updating.
Yeah, I think
Queen Anne.
Queen Anne is a ship. It's a lovely ship.
Yeah.
I think the staff were trying really hard. I think they needed more time to bed in and settle in. And one thing that we've definitely said is we're kind of off doing maiden cruises and inaugurals at the moment because you just don't get a real flavour for what the ship is going to be like because the entertainment wasn't fully up and running. We had some great entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
But we also, there was a lot of entertainment that they couldn't do and was missing. So that was the staff are still trying to find the ship and things. So we're like, we've done a couple of new ships recently, like Wonder of the Seas. We did it. It was maybe about a year after it had launched.
Yeah.
And obviously the launch on the maiden was a bit of a nightmare, and everyone, had the stuff with all the sprinklers going off and everything else. And then we went on a year later, and it was like clockwork.
Yeah, it was great.
And we had everything, and therefore I'm like, actually, there's something to be said for going a bit later. You still get the new ship, but you get the polished service and stuff. So they were definitely trying to get the service, I think.
Yeah. The other thing with Queen Anne, it is a step away to the side of what the other three queens are like. So where there's a little bit more sort of, as I say, old worldly grandeur, this is more becoming more generic with like a lot of other cruise ships these days as well. So
I still disagree on this. I think it's brought in a lot of elements that are kind of QE2-esque. So it's different from the dark woods and everything else. It's gone more for the metals and the shiny things and the curves and stuff that has. But no, it's a lovely ship, and I think it will be great. I think as it settles in more and the crew get used to the roles and where things are, it'll get a lot smoother. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Cunard is on my bucket list of lines to try, but there's a part of me that says it's too formal. I'm the kind of guy who, on a cruise, I wear shorts and t-shirts and and flip flops all the time. I used to get dressed up for formal nights. I suspect now I had a tux I wore on the last formal night I was on. I wore a tux, and I suspect now there's no way I'm getting in that tux. Um, and then and in business, I mean, in the work world, I'm retired now, but I had a lot of suits because I was a administrative type guy, and so I have all of these nice suits, but it's been 3 years since I retired, and really 4 years, since I wore suits because we had a year working from home during the pandemic. So, my suits are at least 5 years old. And again, I doubt that I could get in them. And so, but I did hear, I had Paul and Carol on, I think, and they were telling me that if you don't want to get dressed, there's other places you can
Yeah,
eat.
there definitely are.
Definitely are.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I thought you had no choice on Cunard.
there's no getting away. It's definitely the most formal line I think that we've probably been on.
Correct. Yeah.
However, there are plenty of times, and during the day, I mean, you can wear shorts and t-shirt, and things.
Yeah. I thought
Everyone
that's
does.
right.
There are some people that are wearing like nicer clothes and stuff, and that's their choice. But you don't have to.
No.
You can, I mean, if you're somewhere like on Cunard in the Caribbean, you're not going to be wearing jumper and a shirt and jacket, are you? It's going to be far too hot.
Yeah.
But the evenings, there's no escaping it. The evenings they are formal, but I do think they're still getting less formal than what they used to be.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
you.
now they'll accept you in the dining room with like trousers and a nice shirt on. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to have a jacket or
Or a tie. Yeah.
Formal nights,
Oh,
yes, you
okay.
do need to wear. I think it's a tie.
It's
now.
encouraged. It's really, really encouraged.
It's encouraged, and I think, to be honest, as part of that, I would always say is like it's a bit of the fun. Like we go on Cunard sometimes. Like we're doing one this Christmas time, just before we're heading out to the States to do our over Christmas cruise, and it's actually we're doing that purely because I want to do a bit of like the dress up and the like. It'll all be decorated for Christmas, so like the big Christmas trees in the foyer, and I want to kind of get in the Christmas feel, but with that one with the short cruise just before. So that's kind of, and that I will enjoy dressing up because that's part of the fun is
Yeah.
getting dressed up for it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, apart from Cunard, I mean, some of the more interesting lines. So, because we've been on so many different lines, we've done some interesting lines which may not be on people's radars as well. And they've been a bit of a mixed bag as well, haven't they?
And Costa was definitely one that really surprised us.
Surprised you positively,
Yeah,
negatively?
Positively.
Oh, really? Okay.
We went on to Smeralda, and then we did Toscana, and we're going back on Toscana next year.
Yep.
And they are the food. If you like Italian food, wow, you'd
It's
love those ships.
amazing.
It's just so much fun, and the price. I don't think some people have said to us like, "Oh, but I can't believe they charge you like $3 for like a burger at the pool bar," and I'm like, "Yeah, but when you're paying $200 for a week's cruise." I'm not begrudging them charging me for a decent burger as well, not a standard pool burger, but a nice burger, and they're including chips, drink, and dessert with that for like $3. I'm not really going to begrudge them when the rate of the fare is so low.
Yeah.
What I kind of got annoyed at on one of our ones this year we cruised NCL for the first time. We did Viva, and we paid so much money for that cruise. Like it was insane amounts of money comparatively, and I'm like, and yeah, I felt very nickel and dimed, and like, oh, we're going to charge you in this port for taxes on your alcohol, but then here as well, this is extra, and all that's extra, and I was like,
but I've got the top package.
I paid a fortune for this cruise compared to say someone that's if I paid $200-300 for a week's cruise, I don't mind you charging me extra for things, but if I'm paying like over $1,000 for the week's cruise, you better believe I want everything included,
Well,
NCL, I'm putting you on notice because the cruise ship, the cruise I just mentioned where I'm going to the fjords from Southampton, that's on Viva's sister. That's on Prima.
Prima.
And so You know, I've been on NCL several times, and they do nickel and dime you, and I hear they really nickel and dime you on their newer ships. I haven't been on any of their
Yeah.
brand new ships, so
It is a beautiful
and
ship.
It is beautiful though. It's a beautiful, beautiful ship.
Beautiful ships.
so okay. What else have you been on?
The last
You said Costa,
we've done- we've
Cunard.
done-
we did Aida, which is
Aida.
the German ship. So that is within the Carnival group. It's pretty,
Aida.
pretty tricky to.
I s- I see them at some
Yeah.
ports.
Most people recognize them from the giant red lips on the side.
Yeah,
of
they
the
have
ships.
nice. Yeah, I was gonna say they have nice artwork on the hull.
They have
Yep,
like big
yep,
red lips
okay.
and big eyes and things,
Yeah.
don't they, on the ship? And there's certainly that was a different cruise. It was I think I would do it again, but I would not do it over Christmas because they said it was going to be this really like Christmas magical, wonderful land, and the ship they didn't really decorate it for Christmas, and it just felt a bit like, oh.
Yeah.
And therefore, I wanted to have like a Christmas cruise. I thought, German Christmas market. Oh, it's going to be like,
Yeah.
Magical.
No, it wasn't. It was just
Wow.
like a normal ship, and that felt a bit like there was occasionally, like I think the reception desk got like on Christmas Eve, like a bit of tinsel garland going around.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
That's odd. I've been on 3 Christmas cruises, and one of the things that makes Christmas cruises so great is the ship decoration.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Of course, they hike up the price, but it's been beautiful on the 3 Christmas cruises that I've done. So I'm surprised at Ada. What else is that? How you say it? Ada, or is it AIDA?
We say it like the Germans, Aida.
Aida, yeah.
Aida. Yeah.
Ada. Okay. Did they now? Was there much of a language barrier on Ida?
So let me explain it. So we both speak German. So that language barrier.
Oh wow!
But that
That's
language
pretty
barrier
good.
doesn't exist for us. However, what we found interesting was it was a German cruise line with 98% of people on there were German, but none of the staff spoke German. So the fact was more that if you were English going on that, you'd have no problem whatsoever. But if you were German and didn't speak English, you'd have problems, which was really, really the eye-opener.
There were things like that were very German around it, weren't there? Like the menus are all in German, but they will translate it into English, so it's quite easy to work out. And let's be honest, if you like a beer, it's a beer. If you like and the name is the same, it doesn't change. So, or if you like a Manhattan, it's a Manhattan. A Long Island iced tea is a Long Island iced tea in whichever language. So,
but all the staff spoke English, even to all the passengers. The passengers would ask in German, and then they would just respond back in English.
The only thing I think there wasn't is the entertainment is obviously in German, but I mean a lot of it was very like a lot of these multi-language cruises, so like Costa and MSC, where it's just a lot of like music. So it doesn't really matter because you don't need to understand. Like they had a Madonna style band and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're singing in English, but then they'd like talk to the audience in German, but then they'd sing again in English.
Yeah. So
you sound like you've gotten some interesting. Well, I mentioned it earlier. It's sort of an interesting diversity of lines because there's few content creators, influencers that I talk to who have been on or mentioned Ida, who mentioned Costa. I've heard a few complaints about Costa. I've never been on Costa, but I have a what's the right word? Good right phrase. Kind of a good feeling about Costa because one of the people that I did have on the show last year, he designed most of the recent Costa ships.
Oh yeah, and they're beautiful. The new ships are beautiful.
And I think they historically Costa had a bit of they were a budget and a lot of problems, and they weren't the best, but they've definitely upped their game on like the food offerings and stuff. And the ships are stunning. I mean, it's always really what I always say is that because obviously in the US as well, you've got now Carnival by Costa or Costa by Carnival, where they've taken a Costa ship, but they put on very much the Carnival venues. So we say, don't think that's the style of ships. So if you like that decor and stuff, that's very much the style. But it'll be, you've got your kind of senior frogs and things on there that are on a Carnival ship. So they've kind of changed the venues to fit more
with the American
the
market.
American market and the Carnival kind of feel and the food and stuff. Whereas if you go on Costa
Italian.
Costa, it's Italian. And it's very Italian. The food is Italian. The style is Italian. So they kind of tweaked it.
You know, speaking of those carnivalized Costa ships, I heard something very interesting the other day. So one of them I think is the Carnival Firenze.
Firenze, yep.
Or I'll probably say it. Okay. So someone had been on that. Well, first of all, have you been on any Carnival ships?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're going in a couple. Actually, next week. Next Friday, we're going on.
No, Legend.
Okay. All right. Well,
we're due to go on one of its new ones. Was it Celebration?
Next October.
Jubilee.
Okay.
Celebration Jubilee next October.
Well, when you go on Carnival, I'm sure Josh will find, you probably have heard of this, Guy's Burgers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they're famous for Guy's Burgers on Carnival. So this person went on Carnival Firenze and was telling me they didn't have a Guy's Burgers, but they had a burger place. And he said the burgers were just as good as Guy's. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, I suspect quite a few people got on that ship expecting, since it was Carnival, expecting there to be a Guy's Burgers. So, it's just a small factoid, and the burgers were good, but I was surprised that they didn't, for some reason, they didn't install a Guy's Burger there.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And the other ones that we tried, we've done interesting. We've done Virgin
Voyages.
You've done Virgin?
Yeah.
So I just got off Virgin. So let's compare notes. Give me your thoughts.
It's changed in the last couple of years. So we started on Scarlet Lady, and I think that's when I don't think they got the audience right, and I just don't think they hadn't fine-tuned the product enough. So we found it, a little bit too over-sexualized, and it was a bit, they were going for a really young audience, Instagram audience, I think. And
it's better now. When we went on Valiant, it was a lot better. I always like the food in some of the places, like the Wake and the Wake restaurant with the steaks was really good, and I quite like the Italian on board. I forget what it's called now.
Extra Virgin.
Yeah, Extra Virgin. And we love going to. We always do the brunch in the Razzle Dazzle.
Oh yes,
yeah.
And the vegan lunches and stuff, because they're really fun at night.
Yeah, but the ship's fun. It's different from traditional cruising, and this is the great thing about cruising, is that there's so many different options that. We can go on a cruise if it's just Tristan and I, and it will be one type of cruise, and then we'll go on a family cruise with Josh, and it'll be a different type of cruise, and then we'll go, on a cruise with our friends, and there will be something different. So there's always so many different flexibilities.
And of course, we're big fans of the VHS
workout. Yeah.
So they started off as you point out correctly. They nailed the audience wrong. They started off shooting for 18 to 35, and when I got off Virgin a couple of weeks ago, 18 to 35s were few and far between. Now I do know that they tend to go on the shorter cruises, and this was a transatlantic. But even in general, Virgin's average age is 55, and that's a far cry from 18 to 35. And they've removed not all, but a lot of the as you said, over sexualization. I heard I once heard used to be able to, I don't know if it was in some rooms or in all rooms, but they would give you like condoms and crazy stuff, so I'm glad they got it right, because in my I did a reflections podcast, and I said I started it out. I said Virgin is not for everyone. And then my next line was, but it's my new favorite cruise line, you know? And
Yeah.
and both things can be true. And even saying it's not for everyone, it's not because of the over sexualization of the old days. It's just very non-traditional. I met a guy. He knows a lot of people like yourself because he watches YouTube all the time. And I told him I was a podcaster, and he would name people. And I said, "Oh yeah, he's been on, she's been on, blah 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 blah." And so we struck up a conversation on the first night. The second night, I ran into him, and he said to me, "Once and done." I said, "Once and done? Your second day? How could you make that decision?" And he said, "Paul, I'm a traditionalist. I like Princess cruises. I like Holland America cruises. This is nothing like that. So it's still not for everyone, but it may be not for everyone for reasons that different than they used to be."
Yeah, we always say with it, if you remember like
The Virgin era.
from this, I always think Virgin was massive in the 70s, 80s, that was its big era. So if you remember that, then you're gonna love it because that's
the
era, and
that's
what
the
they're
era.
kind of emulating and bringing back
Yeah.
in some ways. So I think that's a big way. I think we always say we always are big ones for saying that as well. The same, like not there's a cruise line for everyone, but not every cruise line is for everyone.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, and it's a funny.
They have the divas. Now, were the divas? Sounds like you went on Virgin in the very early days. What was a diva a part of that?
It was
Yeah,
the hostess. It was Abby.
No, we had Abby. She was the hostess but diva. But we've done so basically we did Scarlet Lady, we've done Valiant Lady, and we will do Resilient Lady this year.
Yeah.
So we've done all three effectively until they bring up Brilliant.
Yeah.
So they had the kind of same concept that on the Valiant one. I don't think they had it on Scarlet, did they?
What's that?
The kind of divas back then.
They not fully formed, but they still had the hostess, and that
Yeah.
that was the main thing. Abby was like the hostess, and that's what they played off a lot. But yeah, they still.
But I love that.
Yeah,
the hostess and the divas, I love that they're around the ship and they're interacting with people and they're
getting in there.
Yeah, I find them far more present than some cruise directors.
Yeah.
For example.
I did. I was on Scarlet Lady, and I did have the diva on my podcast, and let's face it, there are some people who will be taken aback by just the presence of a diva. So presence of a drag performer. So anyway, what else? Name some others.
That said, I was gonna say one of our favorite, because we do like some like all action cruise lines. We've done Royal Caribbean, as we said earlier, Wonder of the Seas and things, and we're doing Odyssey this year.
Yeah.
But we are big ones as well. Like one of our favorite cruises to date has been on Celebrity Beyond. Which in many ways is very traditional in some ways, but not in others.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ships. I mean, that was a ding, ding, ding moment for us because one, the destination was around the Greek islands. You can't beat that in summer. It was just beautiful. Two, the ship is just those Edge class ships they're spectacular. And then number three was the crew, and especially Captain Kate, who also follows us. We got to meet her. She got to meet Josh. Josh is one of her biggest fans.
Wow.
He has followed her career for many years. And then on the back wall, you viewers
can't really see it. That wall, but basically at the end of the
cruise,
she gave Josh she gave him a handwritten note, some hand-drawn postcards from the stops that we've been on our island hopping. So from Santorini, so which I think one of the crew that works in the cafe does them basically, and the hand-drawn, they're beautiful. And she gave him all of her like bug pins and stuff, and all of her it was just so sweet. It
was just very, very special. It was really, really nice to get that. So it was just a cruise that just had so many good memories.
So I suspect you have some photos of Josh and Captain Kate?
Yeah, we certainly do.
When I'm going to be asking for photos to promote this issue.
Absolutely.
So that definitely would be what I want. Yeah, Celebrity Beyond is my favorite ship. So I say Virgin's my new favorite line. Beyond is my favorite ship. I went on Beyond, and it was my first time in the Mediterranean. We went to let's see, Italy, Spain. Italy, France, and Spain.
Yeah.
Captain Kate was not. Captain Kate was on leave at the time, so she was not the captain on my voyage. I'm proud because when I did interview Lisa Ludolph Perlo, who was the CEO of Celebrity when the Edge class was introduced. And I told her that Beyond was my favorite ship, and she said that's her favorite ship as well of all. So she's been on. She's had the pick of a whole lot of cruise lines. So not cruise lines, cruise ships. So that was nice to hear. Yeah, I love Celebrity Beyond. In fact, I'm booked on Celebrity Ascent.
Oh,
sometime this fall, October, I think it is. So yeah. Can't wait to go on that. Have you been on the set?
no.
But
We were due to go on it this summer, but we had to cancel it for some other thing that came up. So we had to. So unfortunately, we've pushed that, and it's probably come up a bit later in year one. But we've booked a different cruise, not on Ascent, but actually on Apex next year. So but we had to move it. So we were booked and due to go this summer, wasn't it? I think it was it was similar to what you just described. So I think it was like an Italy, France, Spain type one. Was it like a Western Med?
Yeah.
I don't know if it went to Spain. I think it was more just like Italy, France,
and somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like we were looking. I was looking forward to that, but yeah, I'm still looking forward to next year's.
Yeah.
What else stands out?
Well, there's always the cruise that never sailed, Ambassador.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were on the famous ship where
yes, we were on the famous cruise that didn't go anywhere.
You had a few drinks, you had dinner, and then they announced that the cruise was over.
So what happened was that we sort of got there. We were so excited. It was going to be a Christmas cruise. We unpacked. So we got all unpacked. I don't know, 3 nights. I don't know whether you unpacked for 3 nights, but I do. And so I unpacked. We went and had. We were with some other vloggers who we went to dinner. And because we'd been in contact with HR beforehand, not HR, sorry, marketing beforehand. They had written to us and on my phone, and I looked at my phone and I was like, apparently they're cancelling the cruise, and they're going, oh no, that's a joke. And I said, no, I've just got an email and they're going to cancel the cruise. And we just went, no, that has to be a joke. And then literally 30 seconds later, it came over the tannoy, we're going to cancel it. And everyone was in disbelief. Like everyone was like, no, this has to be a joke. And it was like, no, it's not a joke. But yeah, it was one of the best nights ever on a cruise ship.
I mean, I'm sure for the cruise line it probably wasn't, because it probably one cost them a fortune and 2 was a bit of a nightmare. And I'm sure, unfortunately, there were a lot of people that were booked for a much longer cruise straight after. That I think it was probably the worst night.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But a lot of people found, I think, just they're like, okay, do you know what? We're here for one night. We'll enjoy it. It's on the ship. It's on the cruise line anyway. No one's paying anything for anything. So. A lot of people just had a lot of fun.
We just had so much
laughed
fun.
And sang, and
I heard.
I mean, we left, so I was driving, but
it was great. It was a good night.
I heard that night was a party because you didn't have to get off until in the morning, right?
Yeah,
we decided to get off that night because the traffic the next morning would have been horrendous.
We say night. So, we left early hours,
early in the morning,
basically, to avoid the Monday morning traffic in London.
Okay.
And then they did invite us when they launched Ambition, and so Tristan went up and did a press day press night on Ambition. Once again, that ship didn't sail anywhere either.
Wasn't due to sail. I would say. It wasn't due to sail.
Oh,
so it was kind of like being twice on Ambassador without going, leaving the port.
And then at Christmas last year, we actually did. We haven't done much on it, and I'll bring it out. The vlog series is done, but by the time I'd obviously edited it, it was like February, March. And I was like, no one wants to see a Christmas vlog series now. So it's like, towards the end of this year, the series from it will come out where we actually sailed to Antwerp and back to the Christmas markets
beautiful.
in Antwerp, and it was really good. And that vlog series will come out, when sort of towards the end of this year. Because
Now, what ship was that?
Ambition.
So it was an ambassador ship.
Yeah, another
Yeah,
ambassador
it was
ship,
their
yeah.
second
So
ship.
so
yeah.
so I know they're pretty new. They apparently they have kind of recovered from that disastrous aborted cruise.
A bit, I think.
I think,
They've had a few misfires.
but it's all been with the same ship. I mean, Ambience is an old ship. Yeah, she's a bit of an old girl. I mean, it's nice. Trust me, it's nicely decorated and that. But I think she's showing her age, and unfortunately, they have had a couple of instances where she hasn't been able to sail, or there's been some other instances that happened in the press and things like that. But just Ambition's never had from what I know, it's never had a problem, has it? Yeah, one thing I will say about Ambition, which was nice, is that we did actually get invited by Ambassador
Yes.
on that Ambition cruise as well. So it was really lovely because we actually got to speak to the management and the team on there, and they are very, very passionate about, trying to really bring Ambassador into the market. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of misluck with one of the ships, but
And let's be honest, they chose a very bad time to try and launch in the middle of a pandemic.
correct, yeah.
Mhm.
It's not the best time to do it, but no one could foresee that. But no, I think other cruise we've done Princess a couple of times now.
Yeah,
I like Princess.
yeah.
They're not.
Which ship?
Sky.
Okay.
We're actually due on Sun in September.
Sun in September. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, Sun is the one that I changed. That I just changed the itinerary. It's really I get sore thinking about it because it was an absolutely fabulous itinerary. So I still have that ship. I still have it for 14 days. I just don't have to fly to Europe, but. I hate to think back on that itinerary that I'm setting aside. So we'll get there. It was a Greek islands cruise.
They're fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah. So how about the future? Some great ships coming out in 24 and 25. You've already been on Queen Anne. Any that you are anxious to try?
We're going back on Queen Anne as well.
Yeah, we are going to Queen Anne as well.
But we're quite keen. We're going on World America next year.
Yeah.
And we did a short cruise on World Europa, so from MSC.
So World America, is that their luxury?
No, it's their big ones to kind of take on the Oasis class, kind of from Caribbean size.
Oh, okay. So it's still an MSC ship. Okay, but aren't they starting sort of like another line that's like higher luxury, or did I read that wrong?
I forget what it's called.
Europa Journeys. Europa Journeys is the one that they've started.
Okay.
I would love to try them, and if MSC ever want to reach out and offer us a bargain, then
why not? Yeah.
The prices are really high. I'm like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
There are other lines I'd probably try that maybe cost a little less beforehand.
Yeah.
So.
We are in. So when we went on Europa, I mean, I'm finding that big ships. I don't know. Like last year was what we call the year of the mega ships because we went on a lot of big ships last year. And being on World Europa, I don't know whether that was. For an MSC ship, for me, it was a bit too big, but we were actually in Yacht Club, which is this ship in a ship concept. Yacht Club was actually quite good on that ship because it was a place of escape.
With World America, we're going to do the same, so we'll be in Yacht Club, but it's very much what they call the Western Caribbean, so the Yucatan Peninsula things. We're going with friends of ours who are also vloggers that will be first time on MSC, so that'll be interesting for them. And it's going to their private island, which I think is probably what I'm more excited about. Is I love private islands, so
yeah,
try that one.
Yeah.
Well, you're in. You've never been to their private island. I take it. You're in Portree.
No, we've done.
Yeah, we
Coco.
We went on MSC for Christmas. I did a a podcast about it. I had mostly good things to say. One really big negative that I think they need to fix, at least on this particular ship. This was on Meraviglia, but so I didn't slam them too hard in my review because I had to admit, in my opinion anyway, they had the best pizza I've ever had at
Yes, we
sea,
agree.
and I found their private island to be the best I've ever been to.
Oh, okay.
So you're in for a treat when you go to their private island. I mean, nothing like no amusement park theme like Royal Caribbean's private island, but just in terms of just a gorgeous private island, they're right up there. And all of their ships are beautiful. So MSC does a lot of things right,
Yeah.
no question about it.
But it's funny, I had one thing, someone, I can't remember who said it one time, but there was a blogger or channel that said one time about, all MSC does is copy the good bits of other ships. I was like, that's really good business.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
idea. Like, if it
Yeah,
works for
I-
them, take it and use it on ours. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I've spent my life in business. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good strategy. So what do you have? You said a few things you're thinking about. What do you have booked?
So we've got obviously World America in the Western Caribbean next year.
But coming up.
Coming up this year, for the rest of this year, we've got a few. We're going to the fields in September on Pinot Britannia, which is kind of cool because
Back where we
back where
started.
we started, but we didn't really vlog back then, so we actually get to like bring it to people and share that with people and share like most likely our excitement because we're going back. Sadly, we don't get the same cabin.
No, but
Couldn't afford that this time.
oh well.
But
Virgin we've got
we've
in
got Virgin
late
in
summer.
summer. We're about to go in about 2-3 weeks time
On one of the
on Viking Ocean.
Oh wow!
So
Yeah, that's on my bucket list. Not ready for that yet. Although now, have you been on a river cruise?
No.
we do really want to go on one.
Okay, so that's my next cruise. So it's not a Viking, but it's that's checking off a big bucket list item.
Yeah.
It's on Amber Waterways.
Ooh,
But
they're good.
yeah.
From what we've seen.
but yeah, Viking is still on my bucket list. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, we have Odyssey
how-
of the Seas as well for Christmas time out of New York. So and quite a lot over to the US a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, out of New York, and it's not really going anywhere particularly.
No.
It sails out of New York. It sails down to its private island for Christmas Day. So they're being really cheesy and going, it's the perfect Christmas day on Coco, and you're like, oh.
But anyway,
A little bit that kind of makes you judder every time they say it. You're like, oh.
it'll be good.
But it'd be great though.
Christmas in the
Amazing.
sun again. Yes.
And it's good because we get a few days up in New York where it'll be cold. It'll be all pretty with all the
Christmas
Rockefeller
lights,
Center with all the Christmas
yeah.
tree and things, and then we get to come down to the sun, have a few days in the sun, and then come back up again. So
That'd be nice.
Now, Odyssey is the quantum class. Is this your first quantum class?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh wow! Now Josh is going on that one.
Yes.
Oh, he's going to love it. I've been on Anthem of the Seas, which is quantum class, and I loved it so much. I took my grandkids, and so we got on the bumper cars, which they don't have on other classes. What's the thing that goes way up in the sky? I forgot
Star.
its name. It's like
North Star.
Josh's love going.
North Star. Yeah, we did simulated skydiving, the iFly.
Yes.
So Anthem had a lot of stuff that other cruises didn't have. And in fact, after the pandemic, my return to cruising was going to be on Odyssey because I wanted to capture that same kind of feeling that I had on Anthem with my family. And then we had, COVID had kind of eased, and obviously ships were back to sailing. But then we had the Omicron surge. And the CDC in the U.S. came out and they pretty much made this killer statement that pretty much recommended no one cruise. And I was dealing with some medical issues at the time, and so while the ship wasn't canceled, I canceled. And then when I was ready to cruise again, which was a couple of months later, Odyssey had moved, to Europe. So my first cruise back turned out to be on Symphony of the Seas. But yeah, you're going to love Odyssey. And all the things that I had on Anthem, it's sort of like a super version of it on Odyssey, because I think it's actually like a super quantum class, you
Yeah.
know.
A lot of people,
Whereas
everyone talks about it so highly, the quantum
Yeah.
class. I'm so intrigued to try it. And because this doesn't
Yeah.
like, it's not one of these cruises that stops in a different port every day. So we've got quite a few sea days, we've got quite a few days. So I think that's the best things we can really
Explore the ship.
and enjoy the ship as well. So yeah, that's going to be really fun to do.
Now, have you considered, or maybe you've done, has Cruise Boys considered a group cruise yet?
We haven't done it. We have tried to think about how we would do it. We've done a lot of cruises where we've been in groups with vloggers, but not specifically been or on other vloggers' cruises, group cruises, but we haven't actually done one for ourselves. So because of the limitations sometimes on our, because of our time at work and trying to work on what we want to do next. And so it's not off the cards. If people want us to do it, then it is something that we have been discussing about how we would do it. So I think it would be fun.
And we've sometimes talked about doing it in conjunction with maybe one or two other channels
as well,
kind of complement our kind of, us as well. Because I don't know, it kind of petrifies me, and I don't know how the guys do it when I've been on ones with various people like Gavin and Luke
from the Cruise Monkeys.
When they do their ones, I'm just like, it just seems so crazy. I'm just like, I don't know if I could cope with that.
But I think it would be fun. I think it's a good way for people to see you in one place, and it's good to I love the community. I just love the community. So it's just we've been talking about it quite a lot, but maybe what we might do is do a short one, as Tristan said, with a couple other maybe channels or something, and see how we go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's on your cruise bucket list?
Oh, I know.
For me, it's very much Asia, and I'm very lucky that for my big 40th birthday that's coming up, someone just booked me to do an Asia cruise. So, and I'm really excited. So we're sailing out of Singapore, and we're doing
Oh wow!
We're doing 2 weeks basically up through Thailand, Vietnam, overnighting in Hong Kong, which is like wow. And then around Japan a bit, and that's just going to be
and Taiwan as well.
And Taiwan it's going to as well. So it's just so many amazing locations that I think that will just be so much fun. And Alaska,
and Alaska, of course, yeah.
Love to do Alaska.
For me,
now that ship in Singapore, what's the ship?
That's going to be Celebrity Millennium, so one of the oldest celebrity ships.
Okay,
but it's apparently been completely gutted and basically redone to Edge standard. So it's almost like the shell is Millennium, but the rest is like Edge style inside. So I'm like, that should be really fun.
Yeah, I went on Millennium. I guess last January. It was a theme cruise. It's called the Smooth Jazz Cruise, and
I've heard of it. Yeah,
it was nice. It was nice. Anything you're working on at Cruise Boys that you want to tell the cruise community about?
Yeah, so we've just started doing lives. So we did our last weekend was our first live. So which for us was a big step for us, because we had been promising to do a live for quite a while. The problem we had, I think, was just the confidence to go on there and that people would show up. But we did have quite a few people, which is really good. Some of the other things we're working on is we sort of started with a bit of merchandising, but we pulled back from there, and now we're just about to launch a range of merchandise as well.
We're launching kind of like an online cruise store. It's not solely going to be like merch as such. There will be merchandise on there if people want to buy it, but it'll be more like cruise related things, so kind of like funny cruise sayings, things that people would say. So it's kind of playing on what we do and stuff, and some just like jokey stuff. So, and we're going to build that up over time. So that's going to come out quite soon.
Yeah, that's true. So we're working with people on that. Some of the other things that are happening, we're working with some other, cruise lines, and we're working with other affiliates at the moment to set up some really good deals to help people. Yeah, so it's like watch this space, really.
We often get asked, who do we book with? How do we book? Things like that. And we've obviously over the years worked with various different formats, whether it's booking direct or with TAs. We've increasingly worked more and more with one travel agent. And we're in the process of setting up a kind of agreement with them because we don't want to be travel agents because I would never want that stress. I think that my hat's off to them. The stuff that they have to do sometimes is crazy. But
that's what was my first job was a travel agent.
Oh, okay. So you've got experience.
So we're going to also have an ability that people can use our travel agent that we know and we trust. And she's so amazing, and to help support her individual. But she's got the backing of a much bigger company behind her. So there's always that kind of backup that if something really goes wrong, she's going to have your back and get you sorted, even if it is literally like midnight the night before, and you're like, my flight just got cancelled. She's like, I'm on it.
Yeah, so it's been good. It's been really good.
So tell our listeners how they can follow Cruise Buoys on the internet.
Yeah, so first of all, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, help support us that way. We have our Instagram channel, which is Cruise. It's just Cruise Buoys, isn't it?
Yeah, all of our channels are very easy to find. On YouTube, you type Cruise Buoys,
it's there.
You'll find us. You come up. You type it on Instagram. Our website is cruisebuoys.com. There's no underscores, hashes, under things, numbers after it. It's very nice and easy. It's literally Cruise Buoys, but it is Buoys.
And that's where you can find us. And if you really if you know us or you really want to support us, we've got Patreon, which is patreon.com. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, just in case there are listeners who are driving in their car or just don't have a piece of pencil and paper handy, if you could send me your any links that are important to you, and I'll put them in the show notes. So before we let you go, Tristan and Justin, a couple of fun cruise questions. And then what I call an oddball question, oddball in that it doesn't necessarily relate to cruising. So the first one is kind of easy. I just use it to get ideas, and I get some great ideas from experienced cruisers like yourselves. So what's your favorite cruise drink? Each of you, what's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
Okay, I'll go first. So my favorite cruise drink, I love a cocktail, and I discovered one of my favorite cocktails on board Celebrity Beyond, which was the French Caribbean, which is like a kind of a mango daiquiri with Chambord mixed through it, and it's amazing.
There you go.
I think
on my list for a set.
You
have to have a French Caribbean. They're amazing.
The other fun one to try like that, it's not my favorite necessarily, but is a Maduri daiquiri, which if you like melon, it's really nice. It's just a frozen daiquiri with Maduri in it. It does look fluorescent green. But it tastes like just the nicest melon. It's just so nice. If you're on a hot day, thirsty, just fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think favorite cruise food. If I think of one of the most memorable things that I've ever eaten, it was on Beyond as well. So Beyond, as you can see, this is why Beyond was such a great experience. We were very lucky enough to go on to Le Voyage, which is their star restaurant. And I have allergies, and so I'm lactose intolerant. And they brought out this dessert, which was this raspberry dessert.
And the raspberry or something?
I think so. It was like it had. So they used what's it called?
Aquafaba
to make the meringue and that. But it was probably the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life, and I still have dreams about it.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, increasingly my favorite drink on a cruise is, and I've discovered this on the past two now, is Screwball whiskey, which I struggle to get in the UK, but it's a peanut butter whiskey, so don't have it if you've got a nut allergy.
Peanut butter whiskey.
It's like, if you think of like, I think you get them in the US, a Snickers bar, so it's like a peanut and caramel kind of mixed chocolate thing with nougat. It's like having one of those melted down into like a whiskey, basically.
Wow.
And it's just It's on. I like mine on the rocks. I don't particularly like it. I have the normal granite one, so it doesn't water the whiskey down. But it's really nice as a nice, yeah. And there's a couple of cocktails that you can get on. Royal do a couple of cocktails with screwball whiskey, and they are really, really good. Food wise, really hard. I think I'd have to say, other than the dessert that Justin said, because that was really good. I think generally MSC pizza.
There you go.
Because at 10 p.m. when you've got the nibbles, it's the best thing on the planet. It's a slice of pizza at 10 o'clock at night.
You know, so yeah, you got my top pizza when you mentioned that, and then Justin mentioned Le Voyage. You know, I participate in a lot of cruise groups on Facebook, and I have said many times, somewhat to people's disbelief, my favorite meal of all time, anywhere, not on sea, but anywhere, was at Le Voyage.
Yep.
So.
Agree.
So not surprising, because you know the chef behind Le Voyage is world renowned with Daniel Ballard. Yeah. So
he's amazing.
Okay. Next question: what's your most memorable, funniest, or most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
I'm gonna have to tell you, because as I said, when we went on our first cruise on P&O Britannia, we did everything that you shouldn't do. And number one, I think for most people, is when you go on your balcony, you've just got to be aware of what you're wearing or what you're not wearing. So,
and bearing in mind what we said earlier about our balcony goes out, that balcony went out across the bridge wing. So when you stood on that balcony, the entire side of the ship could see you on your balcony.
So as we came into the fjords for the first time, it was lucky because where we were in our bedroom, we had some curtains, and you could actually start seeing the fjords. And Tristan got up, got dressed, walked outside, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you got to come see this! It's amazing!" So, in my haste, I jumped out of bed in my boxer shorts and ran out. I didn't care how cold it was. I just ran out on the balcony. I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And then, as I slowly looked to the left, I realised that everyone on the ship was looking at me, and I thought, "Okay, I'm just going to have to get myself appropriately dressed here."
And there is a really funny video that I have that someday I will just release out of it's spite possibly, but where I'm filming these fields, obviously for the first time on my phone. I'm just like, this is amazing. I just turn around and all you can see is Justin standing looking like absolutely in amazement, but everyone down the ship just staring at him, just like looking so shocked, because there's this guy standing on the middle of a balcony.
And at the angle, they wouldn't have known whether I did have boxer shorts.
No, it just looked like he was wearing balcony.
Well.
So it just looked like Justin was standing there with nothing on.
Let me warn you. So last year was my first year, and so for my first anniversary or first birthday, I did a show where it was just clips of my favorite comments. I had some memorable comments. I had some very poignant comments. I had some hilarious comments. And so I just put those all into one episode, and that was my first birthday show. So I'm going to do the same thing for my second birthday, which is going to be in February. I got a feeling that you'll be on it.
Oh no!
On a not so nudist note, I think one of the most memorable ones we had was on Beyond. We stayed really late one night in Santorini, and we were watching the sunset. We sat on the rooftop garden grill
sunset,
and we watched the sunset from the restaurant, and we actually got the green flash. Wow. And that to me stands by to this day. I was filming, and it never comes out on your phone. It just doesn't look the same. The sunset looks beautiful setting, but every time I watch it, and it's on our videos, and people are like, "That's such a beautiful sunset," and I'm like, "You don't even know that was amazing."
Yeah,
green flash as it went under the thing was just amazing.
There's so many memorable experiences, things that we've gotten up to that I can't repeat.
I was going to say, probably embarrassing. If we asked Josh, probably embarrassing would be any time we have alcohol, basically.
Or when we dance with him.
Because alcohol makes us dance with him.
And sing.
Think we can do karaoke. Say silly things like green.
Yeah.
Sing down corridors. All these things.
Everything. If you've seen our channel for a while, you'll know that everything's a song, isn't it?
Yes.
So we sing non-stop.
Alcohol lowers Tristan and Justin's inhibitions. So finally, you have a large and growing following. So welcome to the followers and friends listening. We hope you have enjoyed what you have heard, and we'll come back to the Joy of Cruising podcast to check out other episodes. So Tristan and Justin, share one thing that my listeners and your friends and followers don't know about Tristan and Justin.
One interesting fact is I'm really scared of heights, and yet I've done 2 skydives. That's probably an interesting fact that a lot of people don't know about me.
You've done 2 skydives?
Yeah, so I'm absolutely scared, petrified of heights, but I've been skydiving twice. So
now, was that an attempt at some therapy? You know, some people kind of get over fears by going at it head
just
first.
Something I thought I wanted to do. Jump out of a perfectly good flying plane. I don't know.
Wow.
I was going to say the one thing that people probably don't guess with us and think with us is actually we're both incredibly, in our normal everyday, we're incredibly introverted.
Yes.
And I still don't understand why we come across as really confident and, I think, and bubbly and extroverted people on our channel. And when people meet us, we're really great on cruises. But if you met me on the street, for example, and started talking to me, I'm like, why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. You're incredibly shy and quiet and not big and outgoing. But when I get on a cruise ship, I seem to go like, yeah.
Yeah, that's surprising to hear. I tend to think that YouTube stars like yourselves are, inherently extroverted.
No. It took a lot to get in front of the camera the first time, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it shows on our videos we were so wooden and so like, oh. And now I just get in front of and the best thing to do is we just talk to each other. I mean, when we do our review videos, and
we don't even tell each other what we're going to say.
We don't tell each other, but literally editing them is so hard because I come out with like 2 hours worth of unedited footage, and I'm like, I've got to get this down to like a 30-minute video, and like, there's so many fun bits, but it just takes so long. But all we're doing is just chatting, and talking about that. We have a structure, but we go off, and sometimes I'm like, "And do you know we talk for like 45 minutes about like the cabin?"
I think
but
I think sometimes it's good the way that we do it, because the fact is we don't tell each other our thoughts all the time, and so it's more natural when we're sitting there, because we don't always agree as well. Which I know in certain points here we haven't agreed on a few things, but that's the joy of cruising. It's so subjective for everyone.
Well, Tristan and Justin, it is so good to get to meet you virtually. Thank you for coming on the Joy of Cruising podcast. As I alluded to in the intro, it is a pleasure to enlarge my circle of friends in the global cruise community. And I know you will be sailing great cruises. We can stop just at Singapore, but you'll be sailing a whole lot of great cruises. So we would love to have you back. If you will be back.
We would love to.
We would love to come back.
All right. All righty. So all the best to the Cruise Boys. And as I like to say, we will see you on the ocean.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.